Hi, welcome to the lesson. We're going to be reviewing fourth grade writing, punctuation, direct quotations. Now, this is part two of your work for today. In part one is a journal entry, and I would encourage you to make the journal entry your own. You can write about how you're doing, how things are going at home with your family, or things you've been thinking about, or anything you want. If you're not sure what to write about, then there is a prompt there for you that you can use. But again, feel free to make the journal entry, make it your own. So we're going to be in our grammar lesson or our writing lesson. We're going to be looking at punctuating direct quotations. And a direct quotation is when you're repeating something exactly as they said it. So we have our first example. I can't wait to see the Washington Monument, said Elena. So that's something Elena actually said. If it wasn't a direct quotation, the sentence might read that Elena said she was excited to see the Washington Monument. So the rule of thumb that I want you to remember is we're almost always going to have first punctuation and then second quotation. So this quotation begins the sentence, so there's no punctuation before it. So that's the one exception, but we have our quotation marks. And then at the end of the quote, we have some sort of punctuation. Here it's an exclamation point. It could be a comma. It could be a question mark. But then we have our quotation marks. Let's take a look at another example. Author Rachel White wrote, comma, that's for punctuation, quotation marks, punctuation, quotation. The Washington Monument is one of the most popular tourist attractions in the United States. Period, quotation marks. We have punctuation, quotation. Something else to note, since this quotation doesn't start the sentence, but we begin the quotation with a capital letter. It's as if it's its own sentence within the sentence. So take a look at some of the examples down below. I'm almost ready to go, exclaimed Chris. So that's exactly what Chris said. So that's a quotation. So we put in our quotation marks. We already have our punctuation, quotation marks at the end. Mr. Mendez said, before we go, we need to learn about the Washington Monument. So this is an exact quote from Mr. Mendez. If Mr. Mendez said, if the sentence read, Mr. Mendez told us that we had to learn about the Washington Monument because we were going to go visit it. So that doesn't sound like an exact quote. That wouldn't have to be in quotation marks. But this is an exact quote, comma, before we go. Before is capitalized because it's the beginning of quotation. Period, quotation marks. Why did they build the monument, Alva asked. Again, that's an exact quote. So we're going to, and it begins the sentence. Our quotation marks go after the question mark. Chris replied, comma, we need a punctuation there. Quotation marks, it was built to honor George Washington, period, and then our quotes. The monument is a symbol of his leadership, wrote author Rachel White. So we're going to, that's again an exact quote from what the author wrote. So we have punctuation, quotation. So take a look and go through those on your own, and then take a look at the questions on the next page. Let me know if you have any trouble with that or need more help, or you can feel free to reach out to your homeroom teacher as well. And thank you for coming to the lesson.